Welcome back to my channel. This time, it's another video about a World War II RAF service vehicle, the Bedford QL fuel tanker. The Bedford QL was one of the most widely used British military trucks of the war. Built by Bedford, a division of Vauxhall Motors, it became a true workhorse for the Allied forces. The QL series included many different versions, from troop and cargo carriers to radio trucks, gun tractors, and tankers like this one. Wherever the RAF operated, these vehicles were there, refueling aircraft on muddy airfields, hauling supplies, and keeping the whole machine of war running smoothly. They might not have looked impressive, but without them, nothing would have moved. Now let's have a look at the key technical specifications of this vehicle. The Bedford QL measured approximately 5.99 meters in length, 2.26 meters in width, and stood about 2.54 meters high in its standard configuration. The empty weight was around 3.27 kilograms and its maximum loaded weight approximately 6.98 kilograms. Under the bonnet you'll find a Bedford-built 6-cylinder petrol engine displacing 3,519 cc, 214 cu in, delivering about 72 horsepower, 54 kilowatts. On the road the max speed was roughly 50 kilometers per hour with a range of up to 250 kilometers. The kit itself isn't exactly among the lightweights. It's based on an old Airfix mould from 1970, and apart from new box art, it has remained practically unchanged ever since. There's plenty of flash and a fair bit of missing detail, enough to keep a few modelers busy cleaning and fixing. But if you're into scratch building and enjoy turning a rough block of plastic into something respectable, this kit gives you just that kind of challenge. It's really all about how much patience and will you've got. Here you can see how the lack of detail in the cab pushed me to build almost everything from scratch: the interior, steering wheel, gear levers, pedals, even the windows and window frames. I decided to leave the driver's door open, as if the driver had just stepped out for a moment. Of course, the steering wheel is on what I call the wrong side, and I'm pretty sure most of Europe would agree with me on that. The British, of course, think the exact same thing about ours. Assembling the main chassis of the truck looks intimidating at first. There seem to be so many tiny rods and parts to align. But once it all comes together, it's surprisingly satisfying, one of those moments where the effort really pays off. When building a model, I always try to think a few steps ahead, to anticipate the next techniques and make the later painting process a bit easier. So, I often assemble certain parts and paint them with their base colors before putting the whole model together. In many cases, once the model is fully assembled, you simply can't reach some areas with a brush anymore. The same goes for airbrush users. Sometimes the spray just can't reach the right spots, and by painting in stages you can avoid a lot of extra masking later on. And while the cab interior was quite bare, the pump system at the rear of the fuel tank was made up of a surprisingly large number of parts. My job was to clean off all the flash left from the old molds, trim the pieces neatly, and glue everything together as cleanly as possible. Of course, that kind of detail immediately made me want to leave the rear hatches open, just to show a bit of that work. At this stage, the model looks pretty rough, partly painted, partly assembled, and not very pretty to look at. But that's how it always is with any project that's still in progress. Everything that shouldn't be visible is visible, and everything that's missing stands out even more. It's the same story with painting. Whether it's a figure or a vehicle, there's always that ugly stage where you feel like throwing it away. I always have to remind myself that the final look only comes together in the finishing touches. One way I like to add more detail to a model is by scratch building small parts that can enhance what's already there. For example, here I made the mirrors and wipers from wire, the headlights from epoxy glue, and added a hose made from thin electrical wire. After that, it's down to the final paint corrections, a bit of shading and wash, and then a coat of varnish. And finally, we reach the best part, taking the beauty shots of the finished model. I'm quite satisfied with how this very old kit turned out. Yes, here and there you can see some uneven paintwork, and in a few spots I probably could have cleaned the flash a bit better. But working with such an old mold once again taught me patience, and that's something you can always build on for the next project. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this little journey with the Bedford QL. If you liked the build, feel free to leave a comment or share your thoughts below. I always enjoy reading them. Be happy and healthy and do that you love. See you in the next project.